From Jacksonville to Old Key West, down where the sun...
Hi, for this video today, I'm going to do one on some upgrades of this camper. A lot of stuff it needed bad. I tell you, when I bought this camper, it's a 2017. I bought it new. It's a Lite 8.6 truck camper. I had a Palomino before this, and I seen even for the couple years that I had it that depending on the type of, it was a pop-up, so it wasn't sealed completely, but with all the wood in there, I seen a couple little spots where with the top part where it popped up, the leaking in, and so when I researched this, it was 100% all aluminum and composite, so there was no chance of rotting at all. There was no wood in it whatsoever, and I thought that was pretty good. But part of the problem with being in South Florida or anywhere in the South is nobody, as far as RV dealers, have truck campers here. All I can do is look at them online. When I went and got the Palomino when I bought that, I had to drive to Iowa to pick that up. I mean, mainly because it was the better price, but still, you have to go up north. This camper here, after I researched it, the closest place I could get it was North Carolina. I did get a pretty good price on it. I bought it new in 17, and this is a 2017 model, but the 18s were just coming out. So it was kind of a close out a little bit, but it still wasn't too bad of a deal I got on it. But not having a lot of other ones to compare it to, like if you went to an RV show or a lot with a bunch of them in it, it was, to me it looked pretty nice. Now, after having it for 3 years now, or going on 3 years, 2.5, I can see that maybe the manufacturer Lite just produced a truck camper because there was a market for them or something. I don't know, but it was poorly engineered. There's a lot of things that came up that I don't care for. That some things I can't do nothing about, some I can. One of the things was the bed for one. I'll turn the camera around and show you. But the bed for one, it can go. They advertise you can go north and south or east and west with the mattress. That's fine, but the problem is with the refrigerator, and it opens up. If the bed's laying flat going north and south, you can't open the refrigerator door. That was kind of poor, but I guess they wanted to get the size of refrigerator in there. I don't know. So right now I have the bed going east and west. It's not bad by myself especially, but with Gail's with me, then you got to crawl over each other to get in and out, and it's not a problem. I mean, it is a problem. I mean, it's not as good. They did make it, they actually knew it was going to be a problem, the engineers did, and the mattress itself has an area that's cut in segments, and it actually flips over. So if it's going north and south, you can flip that over. And that's their fix to it, which it does fix and it would work. But the problem is, our problem is, or mine, is with Cody. Cody hangs up there all the time. So with that flipped over, he can't get up on top of it. It's too high and it don't work right. So if we didn't have the dog, well, then it wouldn't be a problem too much. And when you're not using the bed, you can flip that over, and then you got room up there. It's not a problem. But with Cody, it's a problem. That part, I've still not decided what I'm going to do with it. I mean, I turned it east and west, and I built a little wall up there, and there's some storage. That part I'm not sure with yet. But the other part was, back over here is like a closet, I guess. There was a pole in the top that used for hanging clothes, and that was the entire thing. But there's not much storage in there, and that was the bulk of it. So that was a big thing on there. So I finally, after all this time, it's been killing me. When we bring our clothes, we usually have like a basket and we put it in over here. But every time you need something, it's on the bottom. You have to take all the stuff out. Oh, it was killing me. So I finally did the upgrade on that. I'll show you that here in a minute too. Another thing was, now that I've been pulling my kayak behind it, the kayak on the trailer is narrower than the camper, and I can't see it at all. So a big thing was I needed a camera, a backup camera, to where I can leave on and watch the kayak. If I had a flat tire or something come loose, I wouldn't know it. So I ended up researching that, and is what a lot of people were using. I mean, you can get cheap stuff on eBay for $37.99, but what are you getting? So a lot of when I used YouTube for research and put backup cameras in on campers and stuff, mainly the one thing that came up was this Halo View. It's a wireless system, and a lot of people really recommended it. So I ended up buying the system. I mean, it's a little pricey. I think like $2.25 or something like that. And it comes with the one camera that I'm going to mount on the back of the camper. And also, before I spend any more money, you can get an additional camera, different kinds, but they're like $90. So I thought, well, before I spend any more money, I'm going to go ahead and put the system in, make sure it's all working, and then if I like it, I can put another camera inside the truck facing forward, which it'll act a couple ways. As far as, now this system records all the time, so when I'm driving, it'll be on facing forward and backward to where I can record all the time. But on the other part of it is the monitor, I got a suction cup for it to mount to the windshield to where it just plugs into a cigarette lighter. And again, being wireless, with the camera in the truck, I can leave on the camera on the back of the camper. I can bring the monitor inside with me at night. These are all infrared at nighttime vision, and it's like a security system. I can see if somebody's out there. I can, if you're boondocking somewhere, or no matter what, anything. So after I get this in, I'll check and see how it's working, and then probably order the front camera. So, but this part of it, I wanted to open this up. It seems to be a pretty nice system. One thing this one came with, they had like a deal going, not a deal, but a special with it, with the 7-inch screen and this camera. I really wanted the 5-inch screen to put inside the truck. It'd be take up a little bit less room, but actually the 5-inch screen worked out to where it was more money than what the 7 was. So, because they had a deal on this, so I ended up getting the 7-inch. And you get the specs and the user manual and all that stuff. But here's the screen itself. And like I say, you got one antenna that goes on there. And it plugs in for mounts and all that on there. So that'll go inside the truck. Like I say, it's a big screen though, and depending on the dash and depending where you're going to sit it, and that's why I wanted the smaller one. Here's the camera. It's got a sun shield that goes on the top. But like I say, I'm going to run that inside. And it's what I'm going to do back here. I got the light switch back in there. And I'm going to run it through the wall. And the light switch is powered when the power's on. So that's good. And when I'm using it, the power's always on. So I'm going to run a separate switch to turn the camera on, so it isn't on all the time. If I'm parked somewhere or even sitting here doing stuff, I don't need to have the camera on. So I can turn it on and off. And that's what I'm going to do with that. It does come with a couple of mounts. Here's the power cord for it. This is like a 3M. You can put it on the dash to mount for the bracket for the monitor. and the antennas for it. This is what I ordered extra. It's a suction cup, and this way I can stick it to the window and adjust it and angle it and do whatever I need for it. I didn't want to put this on my dash. But then it has all the, these are power cables for the camera, I mean for the monitor. There's a bunch of different stuff. You can get different cameras for like, you can get, they have them to go on the sides with marker lights, left, right, and this will hook up to different ones. When you like turn your directional on, that camera can kick on, and the screen will show 4 different areas. And so when that kicks on, it'll automatically kick in. You can see if you're changing lanes, turning, you can see that behind you or on the sides of you. So which is pretty cool. I mean, I won't be using all these, but it still works good. And I'm just going to end up putting it, like plug it into a cigarette lighter. And that's pretty much what this is. So that's what this is. It goes from the cigarette lighter. Now this one's for hard wiring. And this one's for the cigarette lighter. So this is the one I'm going to be using. That way I can move it. I can bring it inside here and even turn the screen itself off, but it'll still be recording. So, and just all the mounting hardware. So that's my next project to get into, is mounting the camera system. Again, it's a halo view. And let me see, it's the MC7108. I guess it's been out for a year or two now, but all the reviews have been great on it. So, but mainly it was just so I can see my kayak back there. So another thing I did a little bit ago, and I'll give you some video of that, is my solar system. For whatever reason, a couple months ago, everything quit. Now I thought it was the batteries that went bad. Is what I have for batteries are 2 6-volt golf cart batteries, because they're, you know, recharge a lot. And so I got them from Costco. The price was about $100 a piece on them, and all of a sudden both of them went bad, and I wasn't getting nothing charging out of it. So I ended up taking them back. Well, after doing research on them, it finds out that if you get a year out of them, you're doing good. So, you know, what am I going to do? I bought 2 more because I need them now. Actually, I'm going to probably, after 11 months, take them back and get 2 new ones. I mean, batteries should last more than a year. They're deep cycle for the golf carts, but they should last longer than that. Ultimately, I'll probably end up putting lithium in when I start using this like I want to, you know, more boondocking or longer travel. I'm going to bite the bullet and put lithiums in. Ultimately, they're cheaper, but right now for what I use, and a lot of times, most of the time, we're plugged in at a campground anyway. So, but what I did, I replaced them, and this still wasn't working. I didn't know why. So I got up on the roof and ended up taking the whole solar panels, unplugged them, and checked them. I was getting nothing out of them. So I don't know if the solar panels shorted out, and both of them, neither one, ended up to where when I got them originally, they're the flexible ones. Nobody said nothing about life expectancy on them. So I didn't want to put holes in the roof. And so I ended up using tape, a Turn-A-Bond, to tape them down to the roof, which they worked fine. I had no problems with them. But now that they both quit working, neither one was putting out any power. I had 2 100-watt panels up there. Neither one was putting out anything, so they're not charging the batteries. So I don't know if that was the problem and then the batteries went dead or what. I don't know. So ends up to where I bought 2, I should have the name for them. I'll put the name down below. That I bought 2 panels from a local company in Indiana. Local, not here, Florida, but U.S. in Indiana, that's supposed to have outrageous reviews on it, which they did. I talked to the owner himself about the panels. I bought 2 200-watt panels, which ultimately was only a couple inches each way bigger than what the 100s I had. So I bought them. They're hard panels. They'll last longer. They have 20 or 25-year warranty on them. The company's been in business for a long time. Great reviews, so I went with them. But I'll take it up there and show you. The problem I had with it and this camper was, okay, so I went up there, set them where I wanted, put the feet on them, whatever, went to drill a hole. Well, it went through the rubber roof, but come to find out there's a real thin sheet of just fiberglass on the roof. And it didn't hold nothing. Well, now we have a problem. I have a hole in, two holes in it really, and it's not going to hold. So it took me a while. I tried to call the manufacturer, Camp Lite. Well, come to find out, Camp Lite and Living Lite are no longer in business. I was trying to get like a schematic of it, the supports. You know, yeah, now the camper's out of it. You know, no nothing. You can't get nothing for this camper whatsoever. No support, no nothing. Maybe I should have went with Lance. They're always in business. So, but anyway, so it took me a while. I ended up getting a stud finder and going on the roof because it was thin, and found all the supports running east and west. So I had to readjust the panels and the mounts to where I can hit the studs going across to where I can mount the panels on. Well, it took me a while to do it. Probably a week I worked on that, and I finally got them all mounted. They're all sealed and they're working great. Up here I'm getting 13.7 all the time, but it took a while to do. So, and then I find out that them flexible panels don't last long at all. The life expectancy is very little on them because they're sitting flat on the roof, and the heat ends up killing them. So live and learn. But I'm set up pretty good now, and it's what I'll do. I'll get some video of, I'll go up on the roof and show you where the old ones were and where I had to put the new ones. 400 watts on there is pretty good. I could put another one on across the front, but that's running long ways with the supports, and it would be a lot harder to put it on. I could do it, but it would be a lot more. I think 400 watts for me, what I need right now, is plenty. I really need more battery is what I need, but anyway. So let me show you how what I did with the cabinet, and then the roof with the solar panels, and then is what I'll do. I'll mount all this stuff, and as I'm doing it, I'll come back and take video of where I mounted it and how it works. So until then, we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, first off, my other camera beeping on me. First off, let's start out with the cabinet here. Like I say, this was just a big open closet, and you can see where there was a rod that went across, like for hanging clothes. Well, it was worthless pretty much because there was no room for anything as far as, I mean, we had this for storage, under here for storage, and up there, and that was it. So as far as clothes, I can't ever imagine why I would need to hang clothes. I'm not going to no nightclubs or weddings in it, so I can't imagine needing that. So needing storage real bad. Down here was not, these doors weren't there. You can see they're different color, and I built them. I ended up taking the bottom out. I was checking on that, and behind that is the LP tanks. Well, this was all closed off, I guess, to keep if the gas leaked and it wouldn't come in here, but it's a lot of storage. There was a lot of room back in there. So is what I ended up doing is framing up where the compartment was for the LP. I sealed it all up and then put walls, and now I've got a lot of storage in here for canned goods and all that stuff. So that worked out really well. Now with this being open, I had these things originally, and you see the drawers don't stay closed, and I had two of them in this closet. they were a nightmare. You had to constantly turn them sideways or against the walls or something, because you come in after going somewhere and the drawers would be out, stuff would be everywhere. The door, it was a nightmare. Plus, it was a lot of wasted space. It come out to about here somewhere. The cabinet did, so it was a lot of wasted space. So after a couple years of dealing with these, I finally, that's it, I had enough. So this is what I built. I ended up building a wall in between. Now it's all framed with aluminum that I did. And this side is for our clothes. Towels are going to go up here, washcloths, that kind of stuff. And this way we could put our, we got plenty of room for clothes in here or whatever. Gail takes her camera all the time, so she can put that in there, or we can put it somewhere else. It's just much better. Got space up here. These coffee pot and a toaster we usually had underneath there. So we got more space there. Like I said, I may have put more batteries in. But I ended up building drawers to put the plates with soft close. Now they're not going to come open. So we got plenty of room now. So that works out really well. I'm so happy I did this because it needed it really, really bad. Much more functional. In one of these drawers in here was all the utensils. And I've seen other people with the magnetic knife holders and all that. So I went and got that. I mean, this is just hollow behind here. There's no, that's that fiberglass, and so I ended up getting behind it through the refrigerator access on the outside, and was able to back it with a piece of heavy plastic, like this, and that way I screw into it, and that's all on there. It ain't going nowhere. The rack's hanging up, utensils in it. Gail wanted something for fruit and vegetables like onions and potatoes. That's all what this is going to be for. So it'll support it. It ain't going nowhere. Then we still got store. You can put bread or something underneath there. So that was a big deal. That was part of it. But the cabinet was the big thing. And one other thing I did was underneath here, I built a shelf up in there, because you have the height, and once the pots and pans were in there, then you could put nothing above it. So I built the shelf in there, and that gave us a lot more room. So it's just little things. Every time when we used it on the table, I had my wallet or phone or keys. So I built this that hung up. A little box I made out of like teak. So I could put my phone and my wallet in there, hang the keys up, and everything's out of the way. You know, a lot of time I've been sticking it up here, and so that thing. And of course my scenic route that my sister gave me. But like I say, now I'm getting good solar, 13.7. Of course nothing's being used right now. So, but anyway, I was happy to get these drawers done over here. God, that was killing me. Now we got more space. Now with these where the towels are. You can see a little bit up there. Every time you pull one out, the rest of them hit you in the face. Now I'm going to transfer all them. These might keep them in their dish towels and stuff like that, but might keep them up here, and we get all that taken care of. But I was just over with these plastic bins. I had 2 of them, and what a nightmare. I was happy to get rid of them. So all right, now let me take you up on the roof, and I'll show you the solar panels and how I mounted them. And they work out pretty well. Like I say, they're 400 watts, so they should last quite a while. So let me do that. Okay, I'm on top of my camper. I hope the wind isn't too bad up here. I got to get a new foam for my microphone. Anyway, that's what I have on top of the camper. You can see where the old ones were, the flat panels. They work great. They tape. You can't get the tape up though, is the problem. Once it sticks to that rubber roof, it's there. So, is it hurting anything? No. But, like I said, I had to, you might be able to see some of the marks, find where the supports were going across. In the future, if I should need to put another one of these panels on, I can put it here But what I would have to do is put some pieces of aluminum going from this to up front, screw them down, and then screw the panels to it. It can be done. I could put 600 watts up here if I wanted to. But the panels themselves are pretty nice. Like I say, they're not much bigger. They really need to be cleaned, but like I say, right now I'm not using it, so it's not bad. It keeps the batteries charged up. Put one over here and one on that side. I toyed with leaving this area here open. I may at one time put a satellite dish up there. We get on the road or something, and that might be an option. To keep from putting more holes in the roof, I didn't want to do that to begin with. The original ones run the wires down, and I actually took off the vent for the black tank, the drain that goes down. They're both tanks. This is the vent pipe. I went down inside, and right where my electronics are in a bench under there, I took the wall apart and found where the pipe come down. I was able to, above, anyway, it's probably 3 or 4 feet above the tanks, but I ended up drilling a hole in it, bringing the wires out. So now the vent pipe acts as a ductwork for my cables. So, and then sealed it up underneath, down inside. So that way, no more holes in. Well, I didn't have any before, but now I do. So, but I ended up putting, I guess originally it was set up for 3 feet, I mean 4, 1 on each corner. I put 3 on each side just to make sure they stay up there, and then kind of just tied them up so they don't flop on the rubber roof and wear on it. So, but anyway, that's my panels. They should be good where they're at. The roof rails blocking a lot of that, and should be good to go. So that's it for them. Well, after 5 months, I guess I'm going to try and finish this video. As you can see from the last clip, of course it's been 5 months and the clips don't show that, but hair's got a little longer. Gail calls it my long blonde hair. Another thing, I got these darn glasses on. Back in March, I had a birthday that I had to renew my driver's license for my CDL. Most times for a regular driver license, you just send in a picture or whatever, but I had to go take a test, and my eyesight was on the borderline for it, and I have to wear glasses now. So that's a bummer. That's how you know you're getting old. But anyway, let me go on with this video. I bet I had where I showed where the Halo View camera, but I never had a chance. I installed that back in March, I think, somewhere in there, late February, early March, but I never had a chance to use it because we couldn't go nowhere because of COVID. So ultimately it ended up to where back 4th of July we ended up going to a campground up in Titusville, Florida, called Manatee Hammock, and so I was able to get some footage actually of the camera in use. I did take my kayak with me, and that was the #1 thing, to where I can see my kayak behind the camper. And let me put in a clip of that to where you can see what that is. Okay, so it shows, you know, as far as you can see with the camera on it, it shows the monitor up front, and the picture in the back is great. I can see the entire kayak. It worked out perfect. So that is exactly. I'm ecstatic with the Halo View. It works great. I highly recommend it. I haven't had that much time with it yet, but it's doing what I want it to do. Since then, though, like I say, everything's been locked down. You ain't have much to do. So so I've been playing. Part of things I needed to do, upgrades in here, like I showed you. Let me put a clip in as far as where I mounted the camera in the back, and then the light switch, and also I put a new lock on the back door. Here, let me put them clips in there. Alright, here's where I mounted my camera in the back. I have a tarp that covers it. Matter of fact, it just covers the back tarp back here because water gets into it. But anyway, there's where I mounted the camera. You can see the antennas up. Another thing I did was put a new lock on the back door here, on the door itself. Come to find out, for security reasons, locks, the factory ones, usually there's only a few different keys and somebody will have a key to it. So I replaced this with this RV lock. I got it off of eBay. It has either for a key, it has a key fob that'll open it, or you can touch the buttons on it to the code to open it. So that made a big difference. Plus also the couple storage compartments, one on the side, and then not really I needed this for this one, but I keyed them all the same that way because I use that one more, and so that way I can have them all the same. One key operates everything. Now for inside, for the lights, this is where the lights were, where the switch was, I mean, but that wire was always hot anyway, so is what I did. I run an extra switch, new switches, and also for the switch to turn on the camera in the back. As you can see, my router stuff wasn't so great, but you know, it is what it is. It works. It ain't hurting nothing, and it is. But yeah, the switches themselves for the lights, and this one's for the camera. So it works good. It's what I needed, and I could turn it on and off at any time. Okay, as you can see though, the switches worked out perfect. The original switch, light switch for in here was there. The wire's hot, so I just bought a new set of switches, and now I have for the light switch and the camera. I can turn them on and off at any time, and it works fine. Some things I did to the truck while I didn't do it. We actually, you know, I was one of the recipients from one of the stimulus checks there. So I needed to do stuff on the truck. So what I ended up doing was taking part of that and using it to change all the fluids. I changed all the oil. I changed the fluid in the transfer case, the transmission, rear end, all the filters. I've been using AMSOIL pure synthetic in the motor, but I went with AMSOIL synthetic in the rest of it too. With all that, yeah, it took up a big chunk of that check. So, but it was expensive. Well, expensive to do. It needed to be done. So it's done. While I was under there, part of something else I was just curious about. The truck come with a towing package, they called it, but it also had a factory sway bar under it. And even while it was bolted up, and I can actually grab a hold of it and not bend it, but you can move it almost. And I'm thinking, well, how good can that be? You know, I got weight on the back of this with this camper, so I got to checking, and ends up to where that factory sway bar is about a half inch in diameter. So I ordered a Hellwig sway bar, which is, I think, 1 3/8 inches in diameter. Again, it's, you know, nothing's cheap for anything. So, but I bolted it all up, and it made a huge difference on traveling with it, with the camper especially, because with the top weight it tends to sway. Big trucks, wind, it just took all that away. It made a huge difference. I'm really glad I spent the money on that. It made a really big difference. So, but let me see what we got here on there. I got a little bit of a of a list here I'm looking at, but one of the things I did for the camper, I've seen some people, like Lance mainly, they say it's 4 seasons rated. Well, this, when I bought it, the salesman told me that the camper was. It's not listed nowhere. Usually they'll have a sticker on it or in the paperwork, but nothing listed it nowhere. So I did some checking, and turns out it is 4 season rated. What constitutes 4 season? There's 4 things. One is the double pane windows, which this has. Secondly is tank heaters, which mine has the switches on the wall and the controls over there for tank heaters. Another thing is either on a trailer or this truck camper, a bottom covering so the wind doesn't get up underneath it and cools off the area, which this has a covering under it. And lastly, it's supposed to have a vent from the heater that goes down into that compartment, and it blows hot air in there when the heater's on. Well, I got up under there and took the covering off, and sure enough, it has all of that. But one thing I did find though, like if you was to drain the system, which I do, I don't leave it sit with water in it, or even, I mean, not that we have to worry about freezing, but I looked at the hoses underneath that drains. Well, they're all kind of twisted and they didn't completely drain like I wanted to. So I rerouted some of the lines, and now they all have good fall on it to where when I pull the drain plugs, they will drain. Another thing I noticed while I was down there, the water tank is up towards the front of the camper. Of course, they put all the heavier weight up front on the truck itself, so it's the biggest tank, so it's, I think, 36 gallons, and it's the heaviest. Well, I don't know why they came up with how they bracketed them up, but it wasn't right. I mean, whoever engineered that, they used 1/4 inch by, I think it was 3 inch flat stock aluminum, and just welded the ends 90 degrees, and brackets they screwed up into the bottom of the trailer, the camper I mean. But they were bowed really bad on the water tank. The center one, I'll put some pictures in for it now. So is what I ended up doing. I pulled one at a time out. I went and bought some aluminum that I think is 1.5 inches tall, 1.5 inches wide. It's like channel aluminum. I welded welded them from end to end on each one of them, and bent it back to, you know, straight, because it was bowed pretty bad. I bent it back straight, welded the aluminum on it, and this way it supports it. They're not going to be bowing again. The corners where the welds were cracking, I re-welded all that, supported everything. So now I'm not going to have a problem with that. That was the water tank. The next biggest tank is the gray tank. There was 3 straps on it. The 2 end ones were in good shape. The center one, it had some bow in it, so I put a support on that one. The black tank is small. It's only like 13 gallons, and it didn't have a problem at all. So I figured while I was down there, I did all that. Now I have no problems with it. I put the bottom back on it, and we're good to go. But before I did that, I did put a layer of Reflectix on the bottom. It'll act 2 things: either help it keep a little cooler in here, or help keep the cold out. So anything it do will help it. So that's what I did with that. Back in, let's see, it was back in the end of July, beginning of August, we ended up taking a trip to Homosassa Springs, and we took the boat with us, the flats boat with us this time, and Gail wanted to do some scalloping, so that's what we went and did. We had no problems with it. The campground there, it was a big campground, and it was ultimately pretty nice. They had a boat ramp, but it turned out it was way crowded. I mean, I've never seen so many campers in a tight spot like that, but it is what it is. But it turns out most people left their campers there, I guess year round maybe, and they just come on the weekends, because when it got to the weekend, we got there on a Wednesday night. When it got to Friday night, the place was jammed, and it was like a big party, even now with all the COVID stuff going on. But but we left on a Saturday, and by leaving on there, we had to get back, and on the way home, we just got back to like I-75 and heading south, and just got onto the turnpike. As soon as we got on, I ended up having a blowout in my right rear tire, and right now my truck has been in the shop for a week. When that blowout happened, it actually destroyed the whole side of the bed on the outside, parts of the exhaust system. There's a bunch of parts and pieces under there they've had to replace. So right now my truck's in the shop, and that's what we're doing. So I should have it back this week sometime. That's part of life. But that ended up, so I kind of, after that happened, I got off at the exit right where it happened, and had to change the tire. That was a joy. But we went into the closest town, and ultimately when I got there, another tire had the sidewall split, so it ended up to where I had to buy 4 new tires at Firestone, which I am not a big fan of Firestone tires, but at that point I was in dire straits, and $1,100 later I've got 4 brand new Firestones on my truck. But we'll see how long they last. That's just one of them deals you do it with. But they were stock tires that came on the truck. They were 4 years old, Michelin's, and actually, after I looked at the paperwork, they have a 60,000 mile warranty. Well, the truck's got 60,300 miles on it when it blew. I know Michelin ain't gonna do nothing. I mean, maybe if I force it, but I can't believe that's it. 60,000 miles on it, and right at the warranty, 2 of them went out. So I didn't take a chance and only getting 2 tires and driving home on the other 2. I just put new tires on it, and it is what it is. So, but life, it it hits you sometimes. So anyway, so now, I mean, I got most of what I want done in here, and don't know when we'll be able to use any more the camper to go camping on with all this COVID stuff going on in the fall, and I don't know, we'll see what happens. I'd like to go somewhere up in the Carolinas or something this fall, but we'll see what happens. And like I say, this video's been going for a long time. I wanted to get the footage of it. Matter of fact, I even have footage of the camera was on when the tire blew. Let me put that in here. As you can see, I mean, in the camera it doesn't look that bad, but you can actually see that the truck actually jumps up, and then parts and pieces went flying everywhere. So hard to believe it does that. That's the first time I ever had a tire blow out like that. I've had flats, but not a blowout that bad. So, but anyway, let me put this together. I am thrilled with the Halo View. It all mounted up good. It's all working good. I'm going to get a front-facing camera for it and put that in with it. It records great. Everything's good with it. So let me get this all put together, and maybe the next time you see me in a video, I might actually, you know, have a haircut or something. But we'll see one of these days. So all right, well, I'll let you go for now, and any questions I'll be glad to answer, and just give me your thoughts. Take it easy.